Bitter criticism. Reading Russia Today. Ready-made criticism. U.S. treating European allies like little dogs. Putin. October 18. Washington is dragging its NATO partners in Europe towards a conflict with China, according to the Russian president. Russian President Vladimir Putin on the photograph. And says, the US continuously interferes in Asian affairs and is dragging its European partners towards a conflict with China like little dogs on a leash, Russian President Vladimir Putin has said. Speaking at a meeting of BRICS media chiefs on Friday, Putin noted that Russia's unique relations with China, a growing cooperation between Moscow and Beijing on the international arena, have become one of the key factors of strategic stability in the world. He said Russia-China relations are built on an equal basis while taking into account each other's interests and always listening to each other. Washington, on the other hand, has been pursuing counterproductive policies in Asia and persuading its European partners to do the same, Putin claimed. Quote, Nobody even wants to ask the Europeans their opinion. Do they want to spoil their relations with China and get involved through NATO structures in Asia and create a situation there that will cause concern about among the countries of the region, including China? I assure, quote, I assure you, they do not want this, Putin insisted, noting that nevertheless they are being dragged there by a lasso, like a big uncle, dragging little dogs along with him. Putin stressed that it is now impossible for the US to halt China's development, and that Washington is 15 years too late to attempt such a thing. Quote, they are objective processes of economic development. They are connected with a million factors, the Russian leader explained, adding that US sanctions on China have backfired because attempts to restrain China's development have a negative impact on the economy of the US itself. Speaking at the plenary session of the BRICS Business Forum in Moscow on Friday, Putin stated that the group's nations have become the main drivers of international economic growth and that their potential will continue to increase. Such a nice article from Vladimir Putin. And there's an article related one. Putin names future role of BRICS. And says, October 18th, Putin names future role of BRICS. The bloc's members will be responsible for most of the global GDP increase in the near future, the Russian president has said. We have a photograph from Russian President Vladimir Putin speaks during a plenary session of the BRICS Business Forum. And says, the BRICS nations have already become the main drivers of international economic growth, but their potential will only increase further through cooperation with the bloc. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said the bloc's share of global GDP already exceeds that of the group of seven, G7, leading Western economies, and it continues to expand. Putin said in his speech at the plenary session of the BRICS Business Forum in Moscow on Friday. BRICS now accounts for 37.4% of the global GDP, while the G7 only accounts for 29.3%, Putin stressed. Quote, and this gap is widening, and it will keep widening even further. It is inevitable, he added. Quote, the BRICS countries are in fact the drivers of the global economic growth. It is within BRICS that the main increase in global GDP will be generated in the foreseeable future, unquote, Putin said. The bloc, quote, accounts for about a quarter of the world's exports of goods, and the bloc's members dominate many key markets, including energy, metals, and food, the Russian leader said. Various development platforms are currently being created within the bloc, including communications channels, technological and educational standards, financial systems, payment instruments, and of course, mechanisms for sustainable long-term investment, he noted. There's a related news, EU's arm twisting making Serbia turn to BRICS. But I guess I'm not going to read that. They are intent to make sure that, quote, the economic growth of BRICS members in the future will depend less and less on external influence or interference, Putin said. This is the economic sovereignty that the bloc is aiming to achieve, becoming a partnership of self-sufficient economies, which greatly increases their potential opens up new opportunities, he added. Quote, the work of BRICS is not directed against anyone. It is solely aimed at one common task, which is the sustainable development and prosperity of our countries and people, Putin said. As the current chair of BRICS, Russia is hosting the bloc's annual summit in the city of Kazan from October 22 to 24. On January 1st, 2024, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and UAE officially became new BRICS members, joining Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. There's a related news, the last one. And says, October 18 too, Home Africa. BRICS Group, a beacon of hope for Africa academic. Boitumelo Ben Senokwane has highlighted the bloc's role in empowering the continent. The BRICS alliance has become a crucial platform for Africa's aspirations to improve the continent's economy, improve education, and gain global influence. Boitumelo Ben Senokwane, head of the Directorate of Institutional Advancement at the University of South Africa, told Russia Today in an exclusive interview. Speaking with Russia Today in the run-up to the BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia, later this month, Senokwane emphasized the significant role that the group plays in empowering African nations to determine their own futures, in partnership with other BRICS countries. BRICS has become Africa's hope in terms of knowledge production, the improvement of education, and shaping the economy, Senokwane said. He highlighted ongoing discussions and agreements between BRICS partners, saying they were pivotal in defending the path forward, including in critical areas such as currency and economic policy. Senokwane further stressed that Africa's involvement in BRICS is based on the principle of equality. When it comes to economics, quote, we Africans believe that we should depart from point of view that we are equal. All of us should contribute equitably in the space of knowledge and education, unquote. He stated, adding that South Africa's universities are committed to forging a shared agenda with the BRICS nations and focus on building a future where each member nation plays a vital role. The academic also noted the importance of these partnerships in creating a multipolar world order. Quote, the memoranda of understanding that will have been signed between nations of states will break the bipolar or tripolar situation to multipolar, so that all nations are able to contribute equally into the discourse of knowledge and education, he explained it. Touching on Africa's geopolitical stance, Senokwan acknowledged the challenges of maintaining neutrality in a polarized world, especially in times of conflict. Even in the neutrality, there is actually no neutrality in neutrality. There is always a position. We remarked, adding that Africa has often faced pressure to align with external powers, but should remain steadfast in determining its own agenda and future. He emphasized that Africans should maintain independence in decision making despite external West pressure, explaining that the decisions we make will impact us directly as Africans. BRICS was originally founded in 2006 by Brazil, India, and China, with South Africa joining in 2011. Two additional African states, Ethiopia and Egypt, joined in January 2024, along with Iran and the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia has yet to ratify its membership. Russia currently shares the group. More than 30 nations, including NATO member Turkey, have applied to join.